Hello, my name is Joshua Gabi, and today we are going to look at ionic chemistry and qualitative analysis, and we shall be looking at ionic equations. Complete the following equations and write their ionic equations. Complete the following equations and write their ionic equations. Today we shall look at sodium carbonate, and it is going to react with the barium nitrate. We want to write the equation of sodium carbonate and barium nitrate. We shall also write a complete equation of aluminum nitrate reacting with ammonium solution. We shall complete the equation of aluminum nitrate reacting with ammonium solution. We shall complete the reaction between lead 2 nitrate and sodium chloride. Lead 2 nitrate reacting with sodium chloride. We shall write a complete equation of calcium chloride reacting with sodium hydroxide, and then let alone we shall write their ionic equation. We shall also look at the equation, a complete equation for potassium hydroxide reacting with sulfuric acid. Potassium hydroxide reacting with sulfuric acid. And lastly but not least, we shall look at copper 2 carbonate ions, copper 2 carbonate solution reacting with hydrochloric solution. Let us start with sodium carbonate reacting with barium nitrate. Sodium carbonate reacting with barium nitrate. What we want to do is first to complete the equation, and then after completing the equation, we shall write the ionic equation. So sodium carbonate will react with barium nitrate. We are going to form sodium nitrate and barium carbonate. Barium carbonate is a precipitate. We are going to form a white precipitate, which is barium carbonate. Now we have to write the ionic equation. We have to write the ionic equation. Now, to write the ionic equation, there are steps that must be taken. 1. You have to write all the ions present in the reactants and the products, which are aqueous. You have to write all the ions present in the reactants and products, which are aqueous. Liquids, solids, and gases do not form ions. That is the first rule or the first step. Liquids, Solids and gases, those ones do not form ions. Then the second step, after writing all the ions that are present in the reactants and the products, we delete the ions which appear both as reactants and products. We are going to delete the ions that are appearing on both the reactants and the product side. These ones we call them spectator ions. They do not participate in the reaction, so we delete them up. So when sodium carbonate reacts with barium nitrate, we get sodium nitrate and barium carbonate. So here, all the aqueous solutions, we shall get the ions from there. But when it comes to barium carbonate is a solid. Solid, liquids, and gases, those ones do not form ions. So this one, we shall not get the ions out of it. So when we come to sodium carbonate, we shall get sodium ions and carbonate ions. And when you get barium nitrate, we shall get barium ions and nitrate ions. Sodium nitrate, we shall get sodium ions and nitrate ions. Barium carbonate, being a solid, will not give us ions. Now the second step is to eliminate those ions that are on the reactant side and they are also on the product side. We eliminate them. So you will see that we have sodium ions on the reactant side and sodium ions on the product side. So we shall eliminate them by crossing them out. Then we have the nitrate ions on the reactant side and the nitrate ions on the product side. So we shall also eliminate them. So now we have eliminated the spectator ions. Then now we write our ionic equation. Our ionic equation is going to be got from the remaining ions which we have not eliminated. That is the carbonate ions plus the barium ions. These ones will give us barium carbonate. Now that one becomes our ionic equation. So we get our ionic equation as barium carbonate aqueous plus barium ions aqueous, giving us barium carbonate, which is a precipitate. That is our ionic equation. So now this one is going to become now very easy because we have gone through the other one. We have now aluminum nitrate solution reacting with ammonium hydroxide solution. What are we going to get? What are we getting as the products? So the products we are going to get is going to be aluminum hydroxide, which is a precipitate, and ammonium nitrate, which is a solution. Those are going to be our products. So after writing and completing the whole equation and then balancing it, now we are going to get the ions. Remember, we get the ions from the aqueous solution. Aluminum nitrate will give us ions. Ammonium hydroxide will also give us ions because it is aqueous. Aluminum hydroxide will not give us ions because it is a solid. We say that solids, liquids, and gases, those ones cannot give us ions. Only aqueous solutions can give us ions. And ammonium nitrate will also give us ions. So we want to write the ionic equation, but first of all, we have to break down all the aqueous solutions and get the ions that are in the aqueous solutions. So aluminium nitrate is going to give us aluminium ions and nitrate ions. Ammonium hydroxide will give us ammonium ions and hydroxide ions. We have said that aluminium hydroxide will not give us any ion because it is a solid. Then ammonium nitrate is going to give us ammonium ions and nitrate ions. So after getting all the ions, we shall eliminate the spectator ions. Spectator ions, those are ions that do not take part in the reaction. You will find them on the reactant side and then also on the product side. When you find them on this side and this side, we cancel them out. For example, we have the nitrate ions on the reactant side. They are also on the product side. So they are spectator. They have not taken part in the reaction. We cross them out. We have ammonium ions on the reactant side, and they are also existing on the product side, meaning that they have not taken part in the reaction. So we eliminate them. So after elimination, we'll see that our nitrates have been eliminated and ammonium ions have also been eliminated. So we are going to remain with aluminium ions and hydroxide ions because we don't have them on the reactant side. On the reactant side, we have aluminium hydroxide. So we eliminate the other ones and then we write our ionic equation. So our ionic equation is going to have aluminium ions, aqueous, plus hydroxide ions, which are aqueous, to give us aluminium hydroxide, which is a solid. That one becomes our ionic equation. Aluminium ions plus hydroxide ions to give us aluminium hydroxide. Now, can you try out lead nitrate reacting with sodium chloride? Lead nitrate reacting with sodium chloride. Can you write a complete equation? And after writing a complete equation, you write down the ionic equation. So our complete equation is going to be lead 2 nitrate plus sodium chloride. We shall get lead 2 chloride, which is a precipitate, and sodium nitrate. This is our complete equation. After writing the complete equation, then you do the balancing. You balance so that the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. When you have finished that one, then we go to the second part to write the ionic equation. Remember, we said that all the aqueous, we are going to get ions from the aqueous solution. Only the solids, the liquids, and the gases are the ones that do not give us ions. But the aqueous solution, all of them will give us ions. Now, when you look at lead 2 nitrate, it is going to give us lead 2 ions. then it will give us nitrate ions. Then we have sodium chloride will give us sodium ions and chloride ions. Lead to chloride will not give us because it is a solid. It does not give us ions. Then we have sodium nitrate. Sodium nitrate will give us sodium ions, and then it will also give us nitrate ions. Those are our ions that we have got. Now from there, we go to the second step, elimination of spectator ions. Nitrate ions, we have them this side and we have them this side. We shall eliminate them. Sodium ions, we have them on the reactant side and we have them on the product side. We shall eliminate them. They are spectator ions. Then after cancelling them out, then we remove what has not been cancelled, and those ones are the ones that are going to give us the ionic equation. So we have eliminated the nitrates, we have eliminated the sodium ions, and we are remaining with lead 2 ions, chloride ions, and lead chloride precipitate solid. So our ionic equation is going to be we shall have lead 2 ions reacting with chloride ions, forming lead 2 chloride solid, which is a precipitate. And that one becomes our ionic equation. So we are going to look now to write the complete equation of calcium chloride reacting with sodium hydroxide. Please, you can pause the video and first try it out. Calcium chloride, which is aqueous, will react with sodium hydroxide. This one will give us calcium hydroxide, which is a precipitate. And then we shall also get sodium chloride, which is aqueous. Now we know after writing the complete equation, we are supposed to write the ionic equation. And writing the ionic equation, we break down all the aqueous solution and we write the ions that we find there, apart from the solid. Calcium hydroxide will not give us ions because it is in a solid form. So when we break down calcium chloride, it will give us calcium ions and chloride ions. When we break down sodium hydroxide, it will give us sodium ions and hydroxide ions. Calcium hydroxide will not give us ions because it is in a solid state. Sodium chloride will give us sodium ions and chloride ions. Now, after writing all the ions in the aqueous state, we eliminate the spectator ions. Those are ions that we find on the reactant side and the product side, or on the left side and the right side. We have the chloride ions. They are existing this side. and they also exist this side, so we shall eliminate them. We have the sodium ions, they are existing this side, and this side we also have them, we shall also eliminate them. So after eliminating the chloride ions, on both sides, and then the sodium ions on both sides, we are going to remain with calcium ions and hydroxide ions, and then this side we shall have calcium hydroxide, a precipitate. So those are the ones that we are going to put in our ionic equation. So our ionic equation will include calcium ions, hydroxide ions, to give us calcium hydroxide, which is a precipitate. So that is our ionic equation. Now let us look at the reaction between potassium hydroxide solution and sulfuric acid. Potassium hydroxide solution and sulfuric acid. You can pause the video and then you work it out. So our complete equation will be potassium hydroxide plus sulfuric acid. We shall get potassium sulfate and water. Potassium hydroxide plus sulfuric acid. We shall get potassium sulfate and water. So after getting those products and the reactants, we are going to break down the aqueous solution to give us ions. It is only water which will not give us because it is in a liquid state. It's the one which will not split up. So after getting our ions, potassium hydroxide is giving us potassium ions and hydroxide ions. Sulfuric acid gives us hydrogen ions and sulfate ions. Potassium sulfate gives us potassium ions and sulfate ions. Water does not give us ions because it is in a liquid state. So now we shall eliminate the spectator ions. Potassium is this side and this side. We shall eliminate. Then we have the hydrogen ions this side and the other side. We shall eliminate them. Then the sulfate ions this side and the other side. We shall also eliminate these ones. Then we shall remain with the hydroxide ions and the hydrogen ions. On the other side, we shall remain with only water. So those are the ones that are going to be included in our ionic equation. So our ionic equation will include the hydroxide ions and the hydrogen ions, which are going to give us water. Now we want to look at calcium carbonate solid reacting with hydrochloric acid. You can pause the video and complete the equation. When we complete the equation, calcium carbonate reacting with hydrochloric acid, we get select copper chloride plus carbon dioxide and water. When we react copper 2 carbonate with hydrochloric acid, we get copper 2 chloride, carbon dioxide and water. After getting that one, now we have to go to ionic equation. So here we are going to split all the aqueous apart from the solids and the liquids. But the rest aqueous, they are going to give us ions. Apart from the solid, copper 2 carbonate, carbon dioxide gas, and water, which is in a liquid state. Those are the ones that will not give us ions. So we shall get ions from hydrochloric acid to give us hydrogen ions and chloride ions. And this side we shall get it from copper 2 chloride to give us copper 2 ions and chloride ions. So what is eliminating? We are going to eliminate the spectator ions. Our spectator ions are chloride ions. So we shall eliminate them this side and the other side because they are on both sides. They do not take part in the reaction. So after eliminating them, we shall now put copper 2 carbonate, hydrogen ions to give us copper 2 ions, carbon dioxide and water. So those that have not been eliminated, copper 2 carbonate, hydrogen ions will give us copper 2 ions, carbon dioxide and water. They are the ones that are going to be in our ionic equation. Thank you very much for participating in ionic chemistry and qualitative analysis. We have been looking at ionic equations. Thank you.